Brian Patrick Lamb was born October 9, 1941 in Lafayette, Indiana, son to Bill and Opal. From an early age, Lamb was interested in broadcasting, building a crystal radio set to pick up local stations when he was just a child. While attending high school and college, Lamb worked at various Indiana radio and TV stations. He even hosted the locally popular television program Dance Date. After graduating from Purdue University with a Bachelor of Arts, Lamb enlisted in the United States Navy. After serving 2 years at sea on the USS Thuban, Lamb was transferred to the Audiovisual Office of the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs. He also served as a White House social aide for 2 years with Lyndon Johnson. According to Lamb, his time in the Navy was probably the most important thing that he has ever done. In 1967, Lamb left the Navy and returned home to Indiana. After his time in Washington, Lamb was very interested in politics, and before long he was back in the nation's capital. During his early days in Washington, Lamb worked as a freelance reporter for UPI Audio, a Senate press secretary, and a White House telecommunications policy staffer. While he was a White House social aide, Lamb escorted Lady Bird Johnson down the aisle at the wedding of Chuck Robb and Lyndon Johnson. He recalls that for many years after, in his hometown, the only thing he was ever known to have done in his life was escort Mrs. Johnson down the aisle. In 1974, Lamb began publishing the bi-weekly newsletter, The Media Report, while also covering communications issues as Washington Bureau Chief for Cablevision magazine. It was during this period that Lamb came up with the idea for a satellite-driven public affairs network. In 1977, Lamb brought his idea for a nonprofit public affairs channel to a group of cable operators. After a 30-minute pitch from Lamb, the plan was approved, and C-SPAN began broadcasting on March 19, 1979. Ever since it began, C-SPAN has been the public's window into the U.S. government. The channel gives unedited coverage of congressional sessions and hearings, speeches by policymakers, White House briefings and interviews with academics, authors, historians, journalists, and policymakers. With Lamb as CEO, C-SPAN has grown exponentially. Today, the network employs close to 300 people and offers 3 24-hour television stations with C-SPAN, C-SPAN 2, and C-SPAN 3. C-SPAN also programs WCSP, an FM radio station serving the Washington-Baltimore area and nationally via satellite radio. Lamb, a broadcaster since his teen years, has also been a regular on-air presence since C-SPAN's inception. His most notable project is Book Notes, an interview-based series that began airing in 1989. Lamb taped more than 600 interviews with nonfiction authors for the series, as well as publishing several books based on those interviews. When Book Notes ended in 2004, Lamb began hosting a new show titled Q&A, which interviews authors, educators, and media members. Since his adolescence, Lamb has conducted over 1,000 interviews. This includes an interview with every president since Lyndon Johnson. In February 2003, Lamb was awarded the National Humanities Medal, and in November 2007, he received the Presidential Medal of Freedom for his work with C-SPAN. Lamb is currently coordinating a project to digitize the 1,200 hours of footage C-SPAN has collected so that it can be easily accessible online. In September 2005, Lamb married Victoria Martin. The couple currently lives in Arlington, Virginia. Brian Patrick Lamb is a respected author and interviewer, as well as the founder and CEO of C-SPAN, a nonprofit station that can currently be viewed in more than 86 million households across the nation. The United States Navy Memorial presents the 2011 Lone Sailor Award to Brian Patrick Lamb.